Three more 7-round mock drafts on the slate for tonight's live stream. We have the Tennessee Titans, followed by the Atlanta Falcons, and we will end things with the New York Jets. So we won't belabor the point any further. Let's jump into it, man. We're here to mock draft, so let's jump into it with the Tennessee Titans with the 7th overall selection.
Let's get it, man. Titans, man. They a lot of issues, a lot of needs, a lot of holes to fill, man. I'm looking up and down this roster.
It's
wide
not
receiver, offensive line.
It's not pretty.
All levels of the defense. Yeah, we got to do some work here.
Considering where they're selecting, you can get a blue chipper. You can get a blue chipper in this draft, but you have to consider adding draft capital, considering the sheer amount of holes on this roster, right? New head coach, 1 year, first year GM. It's one of those things that if a quarterback that you really love falls to you, perhaps, but you're almost pigeonholed into, drafting almost best player available, right? Because you just have a dearth of talent on your roster currently, proven talent. Let me put it that way. I'm not suggesting that they don't have any talent, but proven talent. There's just not a lot of it on this Titans roster. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here in the first round, make a determination whether or not we stay put or we add draft capital.
I think even if a quarterback falls to you, bro, you just either trade down and draft best player available, bro. I think
right.
You roll with Will Levis,
as much as you possibly can, right? You get another
absolutely.
look, a full year's look at Will Levis. I don't know if it's any quarterback now. Like I said,
Well, I mean, Caleb Paul there. I mean,
bizarro world, whatever the case may be. There may be one or two quarterbacks that, if they were there at 7, I would take them. But I understand your point. Your point's well taken.
Or someone wants to trade up and you sitting there, and they're willing to give you,
that's kind of where my head is at. That's kind of where my head is at. Now, considering who's at the top of the draft board, I don't know if I'm coming off of it. I don't know.
Malik Nabers.
Malik Nabers. Yeah. You know how I feel about Malik Nabers.
They've done their damage in trading the AJ Brown. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. Trading them away, and I don't think Vrabel wanted that, but
no. And that was prior to the current GM. So I think once that trade took place, things were coming to an end in Tennessee. Things were coming to an end. You have to be aligned when you make a trade like that, right? And I get it. It's a receiver. It's not a quarterback necessarily, but a guy that significant, that much of a difference maker on your roster, everybody has to be on the same page with respect to that. So I think from that point on, things were going to come to an end. What's going on, Mr. C. Prasky? Everybody else who's joined us. We were talking about trading down here, the 7th overall pick, because again, we just don't have enough draft capital to work with. We have 6 selections in the 7-round draft. And as you mentioned, Headley, we got a lot of holes. This roster has a ton of gaps, but they have a glaring need at the receiver position as well. Hopkins got 1 more year on his contract. The aforementioned AJ Brown, we traded him. I say I use that term loosely. It wasn't our call. They traded AJ Brown, and of course they drafted Treylon Burks, and he struggled to stay healthy. He's had a couple flashes here or there, but he's really struggled to stay healthy. So considering the talent that Malik Nabers is, the fact that you have Olu Fashanu on the board, it's a rock and a hard place. You don't want to pass up on that blue chip type of talent, but also you have a lot of needs. So what say you, Hadley, Drew?
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to do some work when the free agency period open up to get some talent on this football team. And in the draft, I think it's going to be hard to pass up on a blue chip player because you don't have many blue chip talent on your team. So you got to leave this draft. You got a number 7 pick, one of those top 3 receivers or one of those top 2 tackles. Joe Alt, Olu Fashanu, Nabers, Rome Odunze, Marvin Harrison Jr. I think one of those 5 players, and right now in the draft, right here, we got Malik Nabers and Olu Fashanu. Those are the 2 guys that I would target. I think those are the 2 blue chips left in the class. So it depends on where you want to go. You want to go the offensive line route, or you want to go get the wide receiver Malik Nabers. I think we have Olu Fashanu on our big board higher than Malik Nabers, so something to consider there as well.
It's the nature of the position, and this kind of if it falls this way, I guess maybe you look to trade down if someone's looking to get Malik Nabers, right? But this is a little strange because the wide receiver class is deep, and so is the offensive tackle class is deep.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? If one wasn't as deep, you say, okay, I'm going to take that position, that guy, before I take the other guy because the other position is deeper, right? So you're kind of in a conundrum here. I think you got to be the more responsible GM and go with Olu. But I understand if you go with Malik Nabers. I get it, right? I'm just trying to be responsible and do the right thing.
I'm gonna make a case for Nabers, but of course, majority rules here. As you mentioned, Headley, the two blue chip prospects on the board are Malik Nabers, Olu Fashanu. Obviously, generally speaking, we have a tendency to prioritize the offensive line. I think there is more talent, less of a drop off. Let me put it that way: less of a drop off from Fashanu to the next crop of tackles as compared to the receivers. Right? We're talking about Nabers possibly being the best receiver in this class. I think he has the highest ceiling. Maybe not necessarily the highest floor, but the highest ceiling, right? Fashanu is a guy that we love as well. In fact, he's a top tackle on our board, right? Okay. But I just think the in terms of the class, the breadth of the class, what remains, I think there are guys closer to Fashanu available at the tackle position versus receivers closer to Malik Nabers. That's how I feel about it, considering that Odunze and Harrison Jr. are off the board.
So let's do that exercise then. If we draft the Olu Fashanu right now, maybe we get a Adonai Mitchell in the second round, right? So Olu or Adonai. I'm throwing a receiver out there that's probably going to be out there. Olu and Fashanu, or we draft a Malik Nabers right now and maybe get a Kingsley from BYU there in the second round. So,
yeah, I'm gonna take.
What would you rather?
Yeah, that's it.
So Fashanu is a guy that I would be comfortable taking in the first round. Kingsley's a guy I would be comfortable taking in the first round. We expect Tyler Guyton to go in the first round. So any of those three guys available at our pick in the second round at 38, I'm for it.
You're with the Nabers and the Kingsley. How about you, Drew?
Nah, I'm right there with you. And you know what I wonder? I know that the scouts and the GMs and stuff. I know they can talk low level, high level, but I wonder if this is the conversation in the war room, right?
It absolutely is happening.
You know what I'm saying? Is this simple, right? We just throwing stuff up and people are talking and giving their case, and whoever gives the best case, GM says, all right, that's what we're rolling with, right? So I like the case of Kingsley and a Malik Nabers. I think that is, to me, I'm more comfortable with that than an Olu and an Adonai.
All right, let's go. We're on board then. Let's draft Malik Nabers.
Sean agrees with us here, and PI Sweet Potato Pod Bros pontificating. Absolutely, that's what we do.
That.
That's what we do. Hey, coin that. Hey, man.
That's alliteration right there. That's alliteration. That's 4 P's. Pushing P out here.
All right. Malik Nabers is the pick. Fashanu to the Falcons. Wow. Y'all gonna run 6 offensive linemen out there, Headley?
Matthew's getting a little older, man.
Somebody's gonna get traded, bro.
That's true. Matthews is getting a little bit. Oh no! The tackles. What's going on?
Tackles coming off
the board. Oh man, there was a run.
Oh, man. Took a chance.
So Fashanu, Fuaga, Latham, Barton, Fashanu, Guyton, Mims, Morgan. Sheesh.
Kingsley right there, bro.
I called it. We called it.
Still out there. I like Kingsley. I like Kingsley a lot. I like him a lot. I don't think there's really a decision to be made here. As much as I'd like to add some draft capital, we know that we have a glaring need here.
After Kingsley, it's Kieran. I like him. I like his size, but he's kind of raw right now.
It's a bit of a drop off. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a drop off. I wonder. I mean, as you mentioned, and this team has a lot of draft capital. I say draft capital. They have a lot of salary cap space at about $72 million. So, to your point, they're going to have to get busy in free agency because they just don't have the draft capital. And without a trade down early, it's going to be tough to fill a litany of positions via the draft. Kingsley's a pick.
Yeah, man. He's a big man that can move, plays with aggression, plays through the whistle. He played right tackle before moving to left tackle. I think what could improve is his hands. Sometimes his hands are a little low. I think that's a quick fix for him. We saw him over there at the Senior Bowl, and he was getting after it, man. So, I think he's a plug and play left tackle here for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, they're going to drop him in at left tackle, I would imagine, unless they decide to go with Andre Dillard again, and that experiment hasn't worked out to this point. You slide him next into Skoronski, and now you got something working on the left side of that offensive line. It seems to me, and again, I'm a big believer in for this team in particular, best player available. Generally, that's the approach that you want to take anyway. It seems to be between free agency and the draft. You're just going to have to kind of fill the gaps, fill the roster. But I don't know that you're going to be able to fix both sides of the ball necessarily.
Right.
Unless you're overpaying and you burn through that draft or that salary cap in one off season here. And perhaps you do. Perhaps you really make a push here. I think it's gonna require you to kind of focus on one side of the ball in order to ensure that you maximize the draft capital that you do have.
Yeah,
all right.
If we have to choose one side of the ball, it'll be offense for me. Because you got that young quarterback, Will Levis. You kind of want to see what you got with him. You want to protect him. You want to give him some weapons. And, say next season you see progress from Will Levis. And you be like, okay, this is our quarterback for the future. And then you could attack the defensive side of the football maybe next year in free agency and in the draft class in 2025. So, yeah, I like the plan, what we did. We're going receiver and then offensive tackle here for Tennessee Titans.
And a good example of going.
Look at this. You see that? Wow.
Jaden Daniels is falling. That's Jaden Daniels.
34.
Yeah.
Whoa, they must have updated something. Something must have got updated.
They did something.
Because he was going top 5, no later than 6 to New York, 8 to Atlanta.
The example that would be the opposite of what you were saying, Headley, would be the Panthers, right? Defenses, not gonna say it was stacked, but the defense was way better than the offense. And they won how many games this year? 2?
Yeah, it was bad.
And it was bad. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, they couldn't protect Bryce Young, didn't have no weapons for him. So yeah. Work on that offensive side of the football.
And Will Levis is not a guy that you don't want to give weapons to, right? He's a guy who needs the weapons because if you're not giving him the weapons, you're not protecting him, you're gonna see the worst of Will Levis consistently, right? Because him coming out for us, he was a little inconsistent, kind of some highs, some lows, some peaks, some valleys. And so we want to be able to protect him to see his full potential because we're still trying to figure it out with him, right? You know what I mean? It's still it's still up in the air for him right now. And so I've always said, if you draft a quarterback and you want to find out what he really is, especially in the manner that he got drafted by the Titans at the pick he got drafted, it's not like he was a number 1 overall pick. So it's like we're going to run this thing for 4 straight years. This is one of those, hey, we need to see what he is. And if it ain't it in year 2, 3, he got to go and we got to move on. Right. So
if he ain't in next year, get a quarterback.
No, this is his year. This is his year to make it to determine whether or not he's going to be the guy.
Especially with new coaches.
And to your point, you want to outfit this team with the requisite players in order to make a reasonable evaluation. Right. So it makes a ton of sense. I agree with you, Mr. C. Praski. No chance Jaden Daniels gets past Seattle. I don't see him getting out of the top 5 picks in this draft, to be perfectly frank. So, all right. Quite a bit has transpired. That was an early 2nd round pick. There has been an update. There has to have been an update because there's some names that we generally haven't seen on the board to this point, actually sitting there here as we come up in the 4th round with the 107th pick.
Like you said, this is a team that best player available. That's kind of where we want to go with the Titans. I know the cornerback position, they definitely need a guy out there. Murphy Button, a free agent. Christian Fulton, a free agent. The only guy they really have is Roger McCreary. Caleb Farley, he's been hurt, right, Drew? Caleb Farley? That was the story in
he's kind of in and out. And I don't think it's really changed for him either. So, yeah. So I say corner, like you said, corner. But we want to stay offense, though, right? We said we're gonna stay the course. Or
I mean, we're not going to ignore somebody that's substantially higher on our board.
Right. It's BPA for me, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there is a particular emphasis at the top of the draft on offense for sure.
Offense.
All right. So
might be
just
corner,
looking
you
at it
think?
at all players on this board, Leonard Taylor is definitely the highest player on our board.
Yeah, I'd agree.
The funny thing about that is one of their best players is Jeffrey Simmons. I know you never have too much of those guys. And you know, Leonard Taylor, he's been versatile for Miami, but we like him as like a 3 tech. And that's Jeffrey Simmons territory right there.
Yeah, I think as much as we like him as a 3 tech, just the way that defenses are playing these days, he's probably going to end up playing 4 or 5 tech. More, you know what I'm saying? There's just as much chance that he ends up at one of those positions or playing that particular technique more frequently than a 3 tech these days. We're just not seeing the same amount of even man fronts and base sets. But we don't necessarily have to go Leonard Taylor. I'm just pointing out that he's probably the highest player.
Let me see the corners. Let me see the corners right now.
Max Melton is the top guy.
Kevin King, DJ James, Kenneth Carson, Smith Wade, Newton. All right, got some guys over there.
I noticed they moved Kalen Carson down, so there was an update. I still don't see Elijah Jones.
Some guys that we usually see here, like, they're not there anymore. So no, I like that, man. I like the change, man. You got to update.
I still don't see Elijah Jones, so this doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, he's not even in the player pool, Elijah Jones.
No, it doesn't appear that way. Hell, you got to make a phone call, man.
Yeah, I got to call him up because Elijah Jones has got the size. He has the versatility to play inside, outside. I love him in press, man. He could run. So, you know, we'll see. I think the 40 time will be big for him, though. You know, he seems like he could run, but you know, if he runs like one of those 4.6 40s, that won't be good for his draft stock.
That's that Tease Tabor.
Yeah. Now Tease was like 4.7, wasn't it?
Come on, bro.
I don't think Tease was in the 4.6. I think the pro day he cleaned it up. I think he ran a little faster.
Oh man,
the pro day he ran the 38-yard dash. B, you know,
had to shorten that thing up.
You know how they do it at the pro day, man. You know how they do it. I'm going with Max Melton here for the cornerback position, but let me just take a look at that.
There's definitely a need at corner. And while I believe Max Melton can play inside and outside the numbers, you're getting in that Roger McCreary territory again, right? I believe Elijah Molden is still there as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
They got him at safety, Elijah Molden.
Yeah, they got him at safety.
A couple teams trying to move up here, 125, 149, 155.
This could be a trade down scenario if you want some extra picks.
Yeah. I think we might have to get busy on day 3 here.
Yeah. It's not really a guy we love. I know Leonard Taylor is probably the best player available. But we could get some additional picks.
All right, we can do 149, 167, 169.
That was better than Dallas, right?
Yeah, it's 125, 173, 213.
Okay.
And then the Fins, 155, 186, 199. So yeah, it looks like the Saints is the best offer here. All right, we're all on board?
Yep.
Yeah,
all
let's
right.
do it.
Let's do it.
Run it.
Xavier Thomas, he came up the board, isn't it?
This is nonsense, by the way. This is nonsense.
Yeah.
The fact that Cooper Beebe is still available.
They didn't update that. That's one thing they didn't update. Cooper
Looks
Beebe.
like they moved Zinter down too.
They go Kalen Carson, man. What you think about Kalen Carson, man? Outside corner.
I'm down with Kalen Carson. We can do some Kalen Carson. We don't let me see inside.
The offensive line still needs work though. Right?
As
badly as we need a corner.
Yeah, Cooper Beebe.
Cooper Beebe is entirely too high on our board not to take him here, bro.
Yeah, we got to take
him. Even passing up at 107 was kind of like, but you know, we wanted more draft capital, obviously.
Yeah, that was a draft capital thing. But if he's gonna sit there, somebody at the end of the day, in reality, in real life, someone will fall that's not supposed to be there. Now, I definitely don't think it'll be Cooper Beebe outside of an injury. So let's wrap it up, bro. Cooper Beebe.
Wrap it up.
All right, Cooper Beebe it is.
Actually, I just seen another corner, man, that I think we could give an opportunity to, man. I know we were high on him. Josh Newton, TCU. I'm not sure if he's on the board anymore, but
he just got picked.
Still got with Nehemiah Pritchett from Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
You can play that outside.
I like my guy MJ Devonshire. I know he's not necessarily ready to be a boundary corner, but just flexibility he gives you in the secondary as well as a return man. He's a good player in my eyes. All right, so Pritchard is available. I think he's probably the top corner on our board at this point. Makai Wingo, Dalen Hooker.
Inside there.
There's Theo Johnson, Cedric Gray. Because he's Al-Shahir, he's an unrestricted free agent, by the way.
Yeah, they need a second level linebacker too.
Mm-hmm.
Cedric Gray, the boy from Miami, James Williams, still on the board.
So you got Bertrand, Barrett, Gray, Chambers, Hopper, Ford, Trevin Wallace.
They updated Bookie boy.
I think they moved Bookie up a little bit. I think they moved him up slightly, slight bump.
Yeah, I kind of like Cedric Gray. Kind of like what he could do for this defense. You know, he's going to fly around. He's going to come downhill. You can blitz him. He's improved in pass coverage. That was the biggest question mark I had from last season. But I think he's improved there. You know, you could put him in that zone, you know, in pass coverage. So I think they need a guy like that. They need a guy like that on the second level.
Well, assuming that it's attacking style defense, I think he would be a perfect fit, right? Who's the?
Oh, I didn't even see that D Kit.
Yeah, Benson he was there at the top of the 4th round. He was there, and he actually lasted quite a bit. He lasted 143 to the Bears.
Yeah, I overlooked him because he'd be good in this outside zone scheme. Yeah, but, you know, they got Tajay Spears also, who they drafted last season. He probably become the starter for the Titans at the running back position.
So we're all on board with Cedric Gray here?
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's go Cedric Gray. Center Barrett, Kai Wingo lasting a lot longer than I anticipate. All right.
We need some beef up front. I know we got Simmons, but Autry and Petco free agents. So is Jaleel Johnson for this football team. So if you want to run that, you know, we run it at 3-4 defense. We need to get some big boys up front. Jordan Jefferson, LSU, Gabe Hall. You know, he had that one day at the Senior Bowl.
If you're talking about 3 techniques, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, prototypical. My man Keith Randolph. You got.
Yeah. I'm keeping my eye on Keith Randolph too.
Yeah.
Texans offering us a 230.
And was that Jaden Cremedy?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. We check the secondary here.
Come on, Hayden.
Definitely. Come on, Hayden, but definitely going to have to hit up the
Devonshire
agency at the corner position. Mm-hmm. I like Devonshire.
Yeah, MJ. He turned the football over. He get hands on wide receivers. Yeah, I like Devonshire. I like Devonshire too.
Yeah, D-Kid. I think Dylan Johnson's actually an interesting fit too to pair with Tajay. I know they have Hassan Haskins. We have 167, 169, 184, and 225.
So we need to lock in the next 2 picks.
I think Keith Randolph is a guy we could look at also.
Okay.
From Illinois. I know we like him better, you know, getting upfield, but you know, he has experience gapping and 1 gapping. So he has the versatility to do both.
I think when it comes to that conversation, it really is a matter of what we think he would be best at, right? And being able to see the full breadth of his skill set. But if there's a role, if we have a specific role for him, he has to play that role, especially here in day 3. You know what I mean? We get a guy who I think can do a number of different things, and we're not going to have him stepping horizontally parallel to the line of scrimmage. We want him going forward. We still want him going forward. So I'm good with both of those guys, right?
Yeah, I like those 2 guys.
Devonshire. All right, let's do it. MJ Devonshire, and then we follow that up with Keith Randolph, Johnny Newton's running mate there at Illinois. All right. See where that puts us in a few selections. Okay, back on the clock here.
Jalen Simpson's a good player. I know the man-to-man coverage not as sticky. These boys need a free safety. You know, I like Jalen Simpson right here from Auburn.
I'm good with it as long as you're not asking that man to cover 1-on-1. Let him do the free safety thing. Let him roam and do his thing. I think it's a solid pick.
Yeah, he's always around the football. It closes really well too. So another guy that could help in the run defense, could come down, could hit. So yeah, I like Jalen Simpson here. I think will be a steal this late in the draft.
What do you think of Mr. C. Prasky's suggestion right here?
Hey, I'm not mad at that. We're not sold all the way on Will Levis. I know coming into last year's draft, we weren't big Will Levis guys. He has a strong arm. So he's kind of similar to Joe Milton. They both have big arms. Just got to see the field better, read their progressions, get to this first, second, third read. So they're similar prospects to me. Joe Milton probably has a stronger arm than Will Levis. So yeah, more competition. Yeah, let's do it. I'm down for that, Mr. C. Prasky.
What about you, Drew?
No, I disagree. I don't. You talking about Joe? Yeah, I've never been high on him. I've never been high on him. I know he's got the arm. I don't see it in terms of the processing and getting the ball out. Now, if we're talking about developing for higher picks, I'm never that guy that would draft a quarterback and the intention is down the road is to trade him, develop him. Because if he's going to develop and he has a trade value, that means that he's meaningful to the team at that position. So I think you would hold on to him. But I'm just not high on him. I mean,
okay, no,
7 years.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. This team probably needs to trade down as early as the 7th overall pick. We couldn't bring ourselves to pass up Malik Nabers and the I guess the last of the Mohicans as far as the top offensive tackles in the class, or guys that we would be comfortable actually taking within the first round, was on the board in the second round at our pick. So we decided to take him there. We actually traded down in the 4th round and netted some additional draft capital. So certainly, the Titans are going to probably need to trade down because, again, they're not in a good spot with all the holes on this roster, albeit they do have a nice volume of cap space. If they can manage to really do a good job in free agency, then perhaps they can stay put. But I kind of foresee them trading down as well. As it relates to Joe Milton, I think the question is, do you think Joe Milton is good enough to compete with Will Levis? That to me is the question at this point. Because to your point, I would prefer having a veteran that we know isn't necessarily going to be the guy, but has some experience and could help Will Levis in that quarterback room as far as his preparation and so on and so forth. I think that's the route you go in, unless you feel like Joe Milton has the upside that could potentially compete with a Will Levis. That to me is the only that's the way I would go about making a selection of Joe Milton at this point. That's how I feel about it. So the question then becomes, if not Joe Milton, if we don't feel that way about it necessarily, who do you select here? Heather, you mentioned Jalen Simpson. You want to stick with Simpson here? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with Simpson.
And just to piggyback off what you were saying to Volcano in terms of the trading down, this might be one of those drafts where Titans fans are not happy because there's going to be players on the board that they're going to want, and the team's going to be like, we can't afford to draft this player, even though they're a blue chip player. We're so far behind the 8 ball in terms of the depth on this roster. We can't afford to draft that player because we're not going to have this thing ready to go in 2 or 3 years. I mean, you should. I would think you should, but maybe they feel different, right? So what pick was that? That was 184?
I believe that was 180. I think it was 184. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. They go Rasheen Ali right there.
You know how we do it, Rasheen Ali.
They're sleeping.
They're going to stay asleep because he hurt, bro.
To be another team that, obviously they could add a back. They could add a back if they're high on a particular guy and the board and everything comes together. But a veteran to kind of pair with Tajay Spears makes sense to me as well.
Yeah, free agency gonna be big for this team. If they want to compete next year, free agency, they got to spend that money and then draft well.
So our last selection here in this 7-round mock draft for the Tennessee Titans, it's not pretty. It's not pretty, but I think we've certainly bolstered the offense to the point where I think in addition to at least a decent showing here in free agency, we can get a good look at Will Levis, kind of reestablishing the culture, getting Callahan, get his feet wet as a first-time head coach and figure out whether or not Will Levis has the goods. All right. What do you want to do with this last pick?
And usually on these last picks, bro, we usually draft in fastest player, longest player, but I don't know that you can do that with this football team. Like you don't really have that luxury to do that. I think you just got to draft best player, maybe best player available at a position of need that you have, or maybe just the guy that's rated highest on your board, and we'll just figure it out, right?
He can't remind me. Is it Jarius Monroe or Willie Roberts who was at the East West Shrine game? It was Monroe, wasn't it? Monroe has that ball production. He's got some athleticism and the ball production out of Tulane. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what you want with your 7th round pick. Some talent, physical traits, and a guy that could play special teams. So
the question is, and I'm okay with that. The question is, do we want to go ahead and just get this guy that we think might actually be able to start for us at center?
Yeah, Kingsley.
Yeah.
Do the responsible thing. We didn't
do the responsible thing. We didn't do it earlier, right? So, yeah. The Gator, Kingsley, the developmental prospect, and he may be thrust into duty sooner rather than later. Excuse me.
I don't think he's a developmental player, but I think he missed a lot of time this year with the Gators.
He might start right away because both their centers are free agents, so they don't have a center right now.
Naturally, Malik Nabers nets the A+ there. Kingsley in the 2nd round. Again, this is a player that I'm comfortable taking in the back half of the 1st round. So getting him at 38 works great for me. We get Cooper Beebe in the 5th round. We traded out of the 4th round altogether to net some additional draft capital. Just understanding that we had a lot of needs, right? There was a dearth of draft capital, and we have a ton of needs, ton of holes on this team. The fact that we were able to get Cooper Beebe and Cedric Gray in the 5th round actually bodes really well, although PFF wasn't a huge fan of the Cedric Gray selection. MJ Devonshire is a playmaker. It's a playmaker, right? You can add him to your sub packages at corner, and then, of course, he can take over your return duties. Keith Randolph, again, they may not have liked the value there, but I think he's going to be indispensable on this defense. And it's funny. I just thought about it, and I'm going to have to do a draft profile on Keith Randolph because, again, I had an opportunity to speak to him at the Senior Bowl. He actually said, the player that he patterns his game after.
Anybody you pattern your game after?
Jeffrey Simmons. The Titans?
Yeah,
he's nasty.
Yeah, he is.
3-tech, just overpowers up his mom, and I love that about his game.
Jeffrey Simmons.
Jeffrey Simmons.
Bring him in next to Jeffrey Simmons, man. All right, and with the last 2 selections, Jalen Simpson and another Kingsley here, this time out of Florida. A talented player, as you mentioned, Drew, has dealt with injuries, so we haven't seen a lot of him, but definitely flashed his ability in Mobile. And, of course, Jim Nagy and his scouting department feel he certainly has the traits to be a quality player at the next level. So I think all in all, this is pretty damn good considering. It wasn't ideal that we traded that early 4th round pick, traded out of the 4th round altogether, and managed to net quite a bit of draft capital here in the 5th round. And I think, that we turned those picks into Cedric Gray, Devonshire, and Randolph, for 1 pick. So I'm excited about what we did there.
I don't know if I need to add anything else, man. I mean,
come on, man, add something.
Listen, Cooper Beebe shouldn't have been there, but he was there, and he might always be there for us when we do these draft picks for whatever reason. PFF, I don't know what it is, need to update it. But again, I'm going to continue to talk about it. Titans fans, you might not be happy with your draft when come draft day because there might be a blue chip guy that you want, whether it be the offensive tackle or whether it be the receiver. Hell, it might even be a quarterback, and you're ready to toss Will Levis to the side. But if the Titans are offered, that Godfather package, offer they can't refuse, you're going to have to accept it because this is about getting your team better. They got a lot of holes. Do we know how much money they have in free agency by chance?
$72 million.
That's a good amount.
So, it'll probably be more because the cap's supposed to go up by, I think, $26 million, if I'm not mistaken. So,
oh wow,
yeah, I think it's going from 20.
NFL had a good year.
250. Yeah, man, the boys always
had a good year.
They had the Taylor Swift touch. You know what I mean? So, had that too. So. Yeah, man, I like what we did here, man. We got a little beef up front. We helped them out in terms of trying to get them a corner and MJ Devonshire. I think we fixed the offensive line. I'm gonna say that right now. We fixed the offensive
Calling
line.
it. Calling your shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we got a guy just in case Traylon Burks don't work out. You got a guy who's gonna be there in a sure thing in Malik Nabers.
With the Malik Nabers, Kingsley pick, we got 2 starters right there for the Tennessee Titans, and then we did the rest of our work on day 3. Like Drew said, we fixed the offensive line with Kingsley, Cooper Beebe, Kingsley, another Kingsley, the center from Florida. But I love that Jalen Simpson pick also in the secondary. I think he comes in right away, flies all around the football field. He triggers downhill quickly. He brings that energy and that thump to that defense. So an excellent guy on the 3rd level to have. Pass coverage, you got to clean up some things there, but yeah, he important skills, but it's almost teleporting skills with Jalen Simpson, how quickly he gets to the ball carrier.
Again, we believe Malik Nabers is a special talent. Didn't want to necessarily pass him up. Those top 3 receivers, we are high on those guys. We are very high on those guys. So, but certainly the Titans have that option, right? I think they will be takers for the 7th overall pick if the Titans want to trade down, add additional draft capital, not only in 2024 but 2025 as well.